Hey everyone! Welcome back to some more Let's Play the Occult Chronicles. The votes are in. I've waited 2 days on the BitChute and YouTube videos, and it was close. We had 3 votes for Belly of the Beast, and 2 votes for Forbidden Knowledge. We also had 2 votes for Random, which is awesome. Thank you all for voting, and let's go ahead and start us up a Belly in the Beast, and we will play Forbidden Knowledge after we have won Belly in the Beast, or after we have lost to Belly in the Beast 2 or 3 times, depending upon how badly we lose. Let's go ahead and get started. So, in the Belly of the Beast, some idiot in research designed a new psychic kinetic anomaly, there we go, detector, and the high-ups decided that they needed to find an appropriate testing ground. That's where you come in. The Amity estate has been abandoned for years. The last tenants were reputedly driven off by poltergeist activity that was abnormally focused and violent. The Odd has listed the place as warranted for observation and quarantine, but a lack of resources had meant that surveillance has not been continuous. Your assignment is to visit the estate and determine its current psychic kinetic activity level, as it is suitability as a proving ground for the new gadget. Alright, well, as usual, story speed will be present. We'll set it to slow. We'll play on Reaper. Difficulty is Agent. Now, my recollection of the Belly in the Beast is that it's really tough for non-fleeing characters to win in the Belly of the Beast, given how difficult the encounters are for this location. It seems, however, for a thematic reason, that we should be playing a scientist, someone who's good at using this gadget that we're bringing with us. I doubt we start with a gadget. I think it's just, it's just the theme of what we're doing, the mission type. I don't think we get any extra items for this. In any case, let's go ahead and make our character. I'm already babbling. So that's 1 point in everything, because that's only 1 point for each stat. I like increasing everything to 2, so we at least have a chance to do early checks. And then I think we will play a scientist-type character. So... sure, let's pick a professor. You had a distinguished academic career and were a department chair at an elite university. But that all ended when your studies led you into the twisted warrens of the occult. Your colleagues soon called you a quack and ostracized you. The Odd values your research and theories, but sadly no one else will ever know you were right. We'll start with a Bone of Wands. We get a puzzle lore and perception edge, an intelligence heroic feat, a wands item, a fire talisman, and +1 wands to start. The bone I select should be something that I'm not planning on picking as we play through the game. I'm thinking swords. We're not going to make a combat-oriented character, I think. So we'll start with +1 swords and give us a swords bone to start. And as for the edge, we'll go with thematic to start at least. So we're playing a professor. And I don't know what type of feat we will have earned. So Bookworm might be useless if their intelligence heroic feat is a feat that targets face cards, for example. Something like this would make sense, but we're not going to actually struggle with horror checks either. Is there a fleeing challenge bonus we can take from this? Alright, Sprinter. X is subtracted from the target level at the start of any flee, evade, or hide challenge. where X is the level of the edge. I think we'll choose Sprinter. So it'll make it easier for us to run away. Now, we need a portrait and a name. Oh, we're playing a scientist. I guess we'll pick that guy. What's a good name for our would-be scientist? Oh, we also have a few more points. We'll take 1, 2, 3. What's a good name for our scientist? Sure. Dr. Whom. Alright. Let's go ahead and get started. It is quite likely that the very first encounter we have in this game against what this mission generates as encounters, the unique encounters, will just kill us outright. Because I remember it being extraordinarily tough compared to the Elder and the Key at the Gate. It was quite a step up in difficulty. I remember thinking like, holy crap, how on earth do you beat this mission on Agent? And again, everyone, I don't think I've altered this mission at all. So, which is to say, again, that these encounters, when we get them, I did not add any options for psychic or spell casting use. We'll find out for sure when we get the first one of them. Assuming that the game actually generates a mission. Which I hope it does. Don't worry, we won't count this against one of the times we're playing the game if it doesn't create a mission successfully. Would be embarrassing though if it doesn't do it. How's everyone doing? That was pretty fun in the last run, wasn't it, with Terry Bogard? Holy crap! Just the crowbar and the axe combined with all those edges we had made it so easy. We didn't even have to use any of those heroic feats during any combat. It was really just the horror checks, and you've seen now why it's so important to try to make a balanced character. Oh man, we could have easily gone insane or lost a lot more sanity. We were drawing, what, like 6 or 7 failure cards for most of those? Thankfully, we had a few Arcana cards that allowed us to survive it. Hey everyone. Alright. The game crashed, so I had to recreate the character, but here we are. Alright, we are here for Belly of the Beast with Dr. Whom. And the first thing we should do is take a look and see what we earned as a wand item. Take a look at our edges and everything else of the sort. Oh, so we got a phosphorus talisman, which will always appear whenever we fail a wand. Yeah, that's right, a wand's challenge with a 10% release chance. We have Thoughts Acquire Speed as a heroic intellect feat, but we've only got 1 courage for it. What does this do? Roll 1 dice and select a revealed non-face trick. X revealed non-face trick cards and bump their values down by what you rolled on the dice, and then draw a card. We have a map as well, which is giving us +1 wands. Reveal the locations of all stairs on the level, and some of the rooms leading away from the stairs. This might be useful for basement level 1, to help us figure out where we need to go to get to basement level 2. In the meantime, though, this is going to give us +1 more wands, which is very nice so early on in the game. Which is to say, we got it right at the start. For our edges, you know that we took Sprinter, so flee, evade, and hide challenges are lowered in their difficulty. Now, this evade, by the way, I just realized it upon recreating the character. This is not evade traps, this is evade, which is a slightly different version of flee. If you do really well in the flee challenge, it is considered to be an evade instead. And that means you don't actually have to step back a spot, but you stay at the spot you were at. This is useful because some encounters might be in the way, either like just inside a room, and you don't want to be forced back outside of the room, but you can't beat the challenge, in which case evading is helpful. And we've got something called multiple PhDs. And it's level 3? Your initial card draws for any puzzle, lore, or perception challenge cannot be less than the level of the edge. Why is it level 3? To start. I'm glad it is, but that's... Well, I mean, I guess it wouldn't make sense if it was 1, and if it was 2, it wouldn't be that useful. So, whenever we have one of those challenges, we will at least get 3 cards in our hand to start. There's our bonus swords and our bonus wands. Bonus swords will let us use any melee weapons or ranged weapons we come across. And let's get going. So the areas around this hole in the... Where are we again? In the main entrance here. They have a great chance to have a random pit show up and you fall through the floor to the basement. That's a good way to die immediately. So we won't be stepping there. I don't want to step up here to the door because we're not ready for the second floor yet. So let's go to the left to start. Two small hallways. Interesting. And both leading into the same room. A male room. I guess the female room must be somewhere else. You notice the eerie glow at first. There is a large vase set on a pedestal. The opaque glass base is topped with a ceramic lid that is marked with strange runes and glyphs. As you observe the vase, a face materializes within it. It swirls around the inside, locked in a horrific silent scream. The face in the vase is truly disturbing. You can't actually hear it scream, but the expression evokes an overwhelming urge in you to scream as well. I was like, come on, game, give me a swords. You gotta give me at least, well, it doesn't have to give me a swords, but I'm really grateful that it did. I can't remember, by the way, everyone, and maybe you know. Do you draw tricks first? Or do you draw cards first from the deck? Or does it alternate between one trick, one draw, one second trick, second draw? Because that would be helpful to know to determine how much you need to panic in regards to the cards what you have in your hand versus the trick cards which are out on the board. Your mind is strong. You resist the urge to scream and gather your wits and courage. The face swirls around the interior of the vase, illuminated from within by a ghostly blue energy. The silent scream still echoes in your ears, or perhaps only your imagination. You recognize the vase's construction and the runes etched along its lid. This is a spirit jar. Its sole purpose, to bottle up and slowly leech off energy from powerful beings. You should proceed with caution. So this is a quest object. It's part of this quest, and it's the second part of the quest. We need to find the ghost in the mirror first. If we destroy it, we'll have a chance to gain something, but then we have to fight the ghost in the mirror. So I think we'll just leave it alone. You decide to move along quickly and leave it to its silent screaming. Smoking room? Reading room? Greeting room. And nothing was in here to greet us, or at least no question mark encounters. Hello. This might be just a pile of junk. Let's check it. The Weeping Wall. You see a section of wall whose plaster long ago began to peel away. However, something doesn't seem quite right. Your eyes catch the faintest glimmer of reflected light from some pattern on the wall. You can swear that you hear the faint beating of a heart. Suddenly, you realize that the wall is weeping blood, and then you feel an unspeakable evil presence try to embrace you. You struggle to maintain your composure as you feel a building desire to scream grab a hold of you. The blood trickles down the wall, and the patterns sicken you. But the real danger here is something buried within the wall. It's evil, and it's reaching out to you. You must fight to keep your sanity. Oof, not a good hand. Not a good hand, but we might be able to win anyway. Oh, and we did. Very nice, getting 2 2s up there on the trick cards. Oh, not a very good trick draw for them either. Lots of low cards on their side. On their side. On the game's side. Your will is stronger than the evil embedded in the wall. You fight back the building urge to scream in panic, and then relax as you master your fears. Lots of screaming so far in this mansion. The wall weeps blood in pulsing rivulets. You can hear the faint beating sound, or perhaps you are merely imagining it. It mixes with the broken plaster and pools at the base of the wall, draining slowly between the cracks in the floor. You notice a large gash that seems like a laceration. There is something evil and malign pulsing within the wall. Some eldritch sorcery has left its taint here as well. You should proceed with caution. You have a bad feeling about this. There is something in the wall that you should probably just avoid. This is also the second part of a quest. We will leave it here and look to meet the mumbling face. You feel the pressure plate depress underneath your foot and hear a sizzling sound as a spray of acid hurtles towards us. You take a millisecond to take in the situation and pick the best angle for your roll. You hope that it will make the difference. I hope so too. Failing a trap is very nasty, especially this early on. And we won. Wow, that was amazing. 11 points. We got to use both our queen and our knight. Your quick thinking saves the day. Remember that this early on, we're walking along looking for any encounters to begin the quest. We're looking for encounters to see what quests are around, so we know where we want to double back to. And preferably, we want to find clue tokens, and we also want clue tokens. We want to find clues, and we also want to, well, get as many quests as possible. You're surprised by a sudden flickering of shadow that spreads out around you. You feel like you are being choked by some invisible force. Your eyes bulge as you fight to gasp for air, and the dark shadows swirl around you. Oof, not a good hand with 2 aces. Your mind is weak. You start to panic, believing that you will surely suffocate. This early on, I avoid taking the talisman, because the 1 or 2 points of sanity we're going to lose, I can probably make those up. And if we lose early on, we can just try this again. 2 creatures of shadow swirl around you. You recognize immediately that you are dealing with the type of ghostly creature that feeds off human emotions, fear and pain being the most succulent. You can either stand firm and fight them psychically, or run and hope to fight another day. So normally, in the game, you only have the option to dispel them or flee. I added shadowboxing them as an option in case you are a more physical person. You don't rely on wands as much. You can use your swords and cups, but you still need wands in the end. For us, though, this is going to be an interesting choice. We can get sanity by dispelling them. We can gain life by boxing them. It's tougher for us actually to dispel them. Huh. It really is, so we'll shadowbox them. You throw a few jabs and notice they actively avoid the shadow of your punches. For a second they hesitate, and that's when you realize you can take them. It's going to be a bit of touch and go, though, metaphorically speaking. Oof. Oh, okay, not as bad as I originally thought. We have a Queen of Pentacles and a Page of Cups. Then we have nothing. Our next highest card is a 5. definitely will take the V here, not the L. Not many people are afraid of their own shadows, let alone others. Looks like these nightmares should have been, though. You notice a large tome set on an ornate reading pedestal. It's apparent that the book is bound in human skin. You have seen such things in odd special collections. You feel a presence nearby. Yes, you are being watched, but the strongest emanation is from the tome itself. You could swear that it is alive. Is it breathing? No, that must be your imagination. We can get a spell from this, but I want probably one more pentacle and one more wand before I make the attempt. You sense that all is not as it seems here. Probably a good choice. You see a spent candle placed next to 7 chalk circles. You see a spent candle place? Probably should be placed. Oh, I don't have my pencil with me, so I can keep correct. Oh, I do have one. If I am gonna upload my mod, and I think I'll do it after I verify that this mission works correctly, I'm gonna keep fixing spelling mistakes. Let's see. So we have. Oh, this book. Alright, sorry about that. Let's take a look. So we have card ritual. Sorry about this, everyone. I know. But I'm playing the game. Perfect opportunity for me to take notes. And we have place equals placed. Okay. You have the impression that somebody has been playing a game here. You notice the card sitting in 3 of the circles. A sudden chill shoots down your spine as you recognize one of the cards. Death. Something supernatural is going on here, and you can feel it in your bones. A ritual was in the process of being performed and was suddenly interrupted. You can sense a spirit energy swirling about this place. The supernatural energy invoked by the deck ritual sweeps your mind up into a dark vortex and everything goes black. You struggle to maintain your sanity. Alongside death sit despair and darkness. The unseeing eye seems to preside over all 3. This is a very unusual deck. You can't place it exactly from memory. You think it might have originated in the Balkans, but you are not so sure. You study the setup carefully and decide what to do next. Let's try deciphering the game. You decide to try and examine the card game setup more closely to see if you can identify it and what it was trying to do. We'll win the challenge. Yes, you recognize the deck and the setup. It's clearly the work of the Red Hand. You thought that the cult had been destroyed utterly. Why would a Red Hand divination deck be set up here? There must be a spirit key nearby. You should try to find it. If you find the key, you can play the deck without the worry that you might precipitate some catastrophic event. You suspect that it is nearby. The key for a deck created for the Red Hand will most likely bear the mark of the Red Hand somewhere conspicuous. You will know it when you see it. You hear a mechanism click and see motion out of the corner of your eye. A large pendulum swings down onto your location at a tremendous rate of speed. Oh, I don't know about these. I don't like either of them. Do we want only 4 tricks with 5 draw, or do we want 6 tricks with 4 draw? seems like a crazy idea, but your martial arts judo training kicks in. You decide to strike the blade and nudge it to the side as you step in the opposite direction. Woo. You calmly swivel around, stepping to one side while you strike the blade with the palm of the hand. It swooshes by with so much as giving you a scratch. Without so much as giving you a scratch. What is this? This is deadly pendulum. Pendulum with equals without. That's like the could care less, couldn't care less. It's couldn't care less, couldn't, not could. If you could care less, that there's something you care less about. Alright, sorry. 1 experience point. Good for us. Our first experience point with this character. Lots of encounters right on the other side of the doors today, too. 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. My goodness. Now, as for this point, I think we'll start with the Pentacles upgrade. We don't want to accidentally get our wands up to 5, or the game's going to make everything significantly more difficult for us. So, increase Pentacles, then we'll add a skill card, and we'll aim for something that can improve our cups. At least that will be the plan. I don't even recognize the rooms. This must be the reading room. And this is the billiards room, if I recall correctly. Your attention is drawn to a burnt corpse sitting in a charred, but yet still comfortable leather chair. The smell of burnt human flesh is overwhelming at first. You've encountered it before, and no matter how often you've experienced it, it always initiates a slight gag reflex. You take a closer look at the body to see if you can figure out what happened. That's when the hands unclench on the armrests and beckon you closer. Your eyes widen in disbelief as the burnt corpse motions you closer. "Come here, will you?" it whispers in a long, drawn-out moan. The sickly smell of burnt human flesh and the crispy animated corpse are too much for your fragile mind to bear, and you feel your grip on reality slipping away. You'll note that I'm skipping a few sentences for these texts. It's because this is like whenever you fail a hard challenge, you generally always get your mind is weak. So, our mind isn't that weak. The creature does not seem to be able to leave its chair, being partially melted into the back of it. You think you hear something. The burnt corpse talks in the slightest audible whisper. Its mouth barely moves. "Don't smoke." Well, we have a great chance of fleeing. You decide to muster all your courage and willpower to try to get away from this burnt creature. There's something very wrong with it, and it scares you. The sickening smell leaves you unable to move. You try and collect yourself, but it only makes you feel like you want to vomit. Did we really not even get a single success with that? We didn't, did we? You take a couple steps back as the smell begins to fade. I could use some commas in it. Let's see. This is flee from burnt couch dude needs commas. You already feel a lot better. Soon you are away from it and feeling fine. In the past, by the way, Occult Chronicles used to penalize you for fleeing. You could get courage loss cards from it. Thankfully, that was removed. We're going to try sticking it out in this room to see what that question mark is. A clue. I don't think I've ever found a clue for Belly the Beast because I just don't play it. Let's see what this is. You hear a very faint heartbeat coming from somewhere within the walls. Oh, we saw that actually over here too, didn't we? I mean, this is a random event, not one related to this particular quest, but it makes a lot of sense thematically for it to be there. Suddenly, you see the dim glow of a formless ghost just ahead of you. It seems to just hang in the air. It may be the most basic of spectral creatures, an unformed psychokinetic disturbance, but it's a spirit all the same, and it would frighten any flesh and blood human. Oof, we got a tough version of it. At least for the horror check, and there goes our only good card. Hey, our 2 can take the ace at least to reduce the cards we have to draw. You stand paralyzed with fear. You hope you don't get slimed. The haunting manifests itself as a dim ball of light. It has no sense of its previous life or existence. It wanders, hopelessly lost. You should exercise caution. These haunts cannot be reasoned with, and they can be lethal if disturbed. I will destroy the ghost. You decide to use your psychic talents to dispel the ghost and send it to the spirit world. It will most likely resist. Normally, by the way, everyone, the difficulty is the same for both of these. But the game is making it tougher by adding 2 points to the difficulty. Remember, I mentioned it occasionally, that the game tweaks the balance and difficulty depending upon if it thinks you can handle it and how well it thinks you're doing. I wish the game didn't actually do that, but oh well. And that was nice, very nice. 7 points over. Maybe we can earn some experience points for this. You engage in a psychic duel with the ghost. It turns its mindless anger and desperation against you, but you prevail. You feel that whatever it was before would thank you for the peace you gave it. That's very nice. We could definitely use that courage. And for sanity to boot. Courage can go into thoughts acquire speed. I love the name of this, by the way. That's such a nice name for an ability. Your attention is drawn to a large stone statue of a truly horrific and bizarre-looking gargoyle. It sits on a pedestal with its arms wrapped around its legs. You feel a sudden shock shoot down your spine as you notice its eyelids blink open. The stone statue is alive. You fight to control a growing tide of fear that is sweeping over you. Let's see if we can do it today. You've seen things far worse than this. The gargoyle stretches itself out and unfurls its large wings. You note its razor-sharp claws. Before you realize it, it moves forward to attack you. We can destroy it. We have a good chance of doing so, actually, but it's part of a quest. It's the second part of that quest, so we will try to just fleeing it. The gargoyle is probably guarding something. You hope that the sorcery that animates it also confines it to a specific location. You turn and run. You must have been correct in your assessment. The gargoyle does not pursue you. The odds of you winning anything from fleeing something is like... I want to say it's like 0.5% chance to get anything from one of those cards. It's not a good chance whatsoever. Now, unfortunately, this is what I was really worried about. We need to pass an evade check. That means we need to get more than just 3 successes, I think. We're just gonna fail if I don't get a good hand. Like, we really need to get more than... We'll use the queen. Maybe that will be enough. Good thing I did. Okay, there we go. That's the only problem about having an encounter right at the doorway, is if it's one that doesn't let you simply ignore it, you gotta pass an evade check in order to get past it, because otherwise you're forced back a spot every turn. A ghost suddenly materializes in front of you. It's dressed as if it just stepped out of a safari on the Serengeti. It lowers its large caliber big game rifle at you and seems to be considering you closely. You don't know which is scarier, the ghost or the ethereal gun. cower before the ghost in shame. You feel like a rodent that he might shoot for fun. The ghostly big game hunter squints at you like he is sizing you up for his trophy wall. There is a taint to him. Faint to him? You suspect he once brushed elbows with the witch doctor. You both stand there in a sort of ghostly standoff, waiting for the other to make the first move. You decide to enter a trance and use your skill as a medium to find out what this ghost wants. His taint is suspicious. Only 3 draw, though. I'm just gonna fail it. You're unable to establish a link. The ghost seems impatient with you. Your head aches something awful. Remember, at this early part of the game, it's strategic to fail and hope for better cards. This is especially true if you need only 1 target point. You have no trouble establishing a link. He is quite eager to speak with you. Cheers, mate. I'm Colonel Van Pelt, and you are my prey. Unless, of course, you can prove yourself useful. It seems one of my trophies has left the roost. I want you to track it down and return it to its rightful place. Come back here and let me know how you fared, or I will track you down. No, just kidding, laddie. I'll make it worth your while. And there's another, good God, another encounter. This is insane. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 encounters all right next to each other. You see a chessboard set up for the commencement of a game. Upon closer examination, you discover that the pieces are very strange. The black ones are carved out of some volcanic rock and seem to shift between normal pieces and twisted tentacled monsters. The white pieces, carved from alabaster, depict humans armed with all manner of weapons. You could swear that you see a knight that resembles yourself. Suddenly, in the chair across the chessboard... Chess with death. From after across. A grim specter of death appears. Your eyes widen in disbelief as the apparition beckons you to sit and play. You must fight to keep your sanity. I've got a good hand, 2 kings. You stare back at the apparition and even muster a nonchalant smile, which seems to amuse it. The specter startles you. You wonder if this is some type of trick or illusion. Could this be real? You can sense the currents of sorcery at work here, but just what the source is, you cannot be certain. It beckons you to sit across from it. The apparition motions to the board again, suggesting that you begin the game. That is a miserable amount of draw. We will not do this at the moment. You can draw, to my knowledge, an instant death while playing death, so you don't really want to do it. You could also draw impairments or, I think, wounds as well. It's very nasty losing to death. You could also earn some really nice things if you win. Arcana cards, or stuff of that sort, so. But, right now, we cannot win. Or rather, we likely won't. Unlike your encounters with most other supernatural creatures, the Spectre of Death seems to have no problem with you leaving, and you feel perfectly free to do so. A line from a poem suddenly springs to mind. I have a rendezvous with death at some disputed barricade. I wonder where that's from. Hello, coffee room. Anyone drinking coffee in here today? Not today. No clues here either. The second floor. I like going up the stairs just to mark it so I know exactly where to go should I end up back there again. Like on the other side. I can see where I need to wind through the passages to reach the other staircase. It seems impossible, but a human skeleton steps in front of you from out of the gloom. It hisses at you, and you smell the breath of death. Some dark necromancy must animate this long-dead creature. You can't even understand how the bones could be held together. It is terrifying. I'll risk our king. That was a mistake. Usually things far worse than this. You were part of the team that took down the Black Circle of Necromancers a few years back. You've encountered your fair share of reanimations over the years. Yeah, I think Dr. Whom probably has, hasn't he? You wonder if a curse or a necromancer of some skill has summoned a spirit to animate this bag of bones. Was it sent after you? You remember from your briefings that its decayed appearance can be deceptive. And prepare yourself. You will need to either fight or flee. Normally in the game, you only have access to attack the skeleton. I added blast a skeleton, and the difficulty should be the same, but the game is making attacking it much more difficult. I don't know why it's doing that. Let's blast it with the spell. I think, is that right? Oh, again, that draw. 6 tricks with 4 draw or 4 tricks with 5 draw. It's a physical creature, so you're sure that you can reduce it to ashes with the right spell. The trick is doing so without joining its current dead condition. Oh, wow, Tim. That was very lucky. You would have won anyway. But that was lucky holding on to your knight to take the page that was up there. You narrowly avoid a slash as you finish your incantation. It never has a chance to take a second as the spine snaps, and it crumples to the ground. The bones turn to dust before your eyes. Oh. Nope, I'm not stepping into another room that has an encounter waiting for me right at the other side, especially one that I think is hostile. We're not doing that today. Not again. Alright, drawing room, anything in you? Your attention is drawn to an old suit of armor standing guard in the gloom. As you strain to make out its features, you realize something is terribly wrong. A sudden chill shoots down your spine, and a sense of dread engulfs you. There is dark sorcery involved in this, and it nibbles at your sanity. Your eyes widen in disbelief as the cursed armor turns to meet your gaze. The confrontation with the cursed suit of armor sends your mind reeling. You struggle to maintain your sanity. The altered suit of armor is animated by some evil sorceress artifice. Such a curse would require great power and forbidden knowledge. Its gaze is locked on you, and you sense an intelligence of some sort. You sense a keen intelligence before you. An aura of sadness permeates its very being. You also sense desire. Perhaps you can figure out what, if anything, this cursed suit of armor wants. I'm going to keep failing this until I get a decent hand. I can do better than that, but let's see if we can get a cups used here. A bunch of high number cards, a Knight of Swords and a King of Wands. Maybe we'll stick this one out. Sure. The intelligence speaks to you. The sadness and anguish are nearly overwhelming, but you understand that it wants you to break its curse. 500 years ago, a Subotic witch trapped the knight's soul from his body, sealing it into the armor, and bound the key within a small glass bead. The bead was taken by a common thief who perished in this house 30 years ago. The haunted armor cannot use the key itself, but perhaps you can. You approach what appears to be a metal coffin. Suddenly, you stop dead in your tracks. A wave of horror sweeps over you. The coffin is actually an elaborate iron maiden, and it radiates a pure evil that undermines the foundations of your sanity. You steel your mind against the thing that occupies the metal monster. You feel it probe your mind for some weakness. Your eyes widen in horror. You are consumed by a vision of blood that seeps from the monstrosity in endless tears until it's nearly a wave of crimson. You sense an ancient evil that resides in this steel monster. You recall in your mind a file from a case in the some unpronounceable region of Romania in the 1640s. A mad prince forged it from the melted down holy relics of the surrounding towns and then tempered it in a giant vat filled with the blood of virgin peasant girls. A ritual of some sort empowered the vessel to serve as the repository of an evil spirit that had bargained with the prince. It must abide there even now. I almost always climb inside, but until we get more draw, I'm not doing so. You decide to slowly back away from this metal canister of evil. Despite the fact you can feel it yearning for your blood, you know that you can turn your back and walk away. It's probably a good choice. You get a really nice edge there that reduces all the damage you take from traps by 3, I think. And traps and poisons, if I recall correctly. You feel your foot step down on the pressure plate and then hear the pneumatic sounds of darts being shot through blow tubes. You catch a glimpse of the deadly swarm of needle-tip killers heading your way. You notice what you think is a gap in the wall of darts heading your way. You decide to crouch into it. We better get a wand that we can use our queen on or it's over for us. And we didn't. You completely misjudge that situation and get the full force of the wall of flying darts. Oh, thank God. You see a locked wooden door. There's a worn keyhole right where it belongs, but no sign of a key anywhere. You examine the lock mechanism and decide that you just might know how to finesse it open. Now, you can take risks here as well to fail the challenge, but you could get evil omens if you do fail. Oh, looks like we don't have a choice. It seems you overestimated your ability to master this mechanism. You scratch your head in dismay. We'll try that again. I'll risk it. Come on, game. I flippin' hate you. Give me a decent hand. I know you can do it. I know you can do it. We'll use the king. There we go. The lock opens. You are just as talented with the lock as you thought. The mechanism clicks, and you turn the knob to open the door. Being very stingy with the experience points today, game. Very, very stingy on one of the tougher encounters and quests in the game. Come on, don't be a falling chandelier somewhere down here. You hear the soft beat of a human heart. It seems to slowly grow louder. The air around you becomes cold, and you start to see your own breath. Suddenly, a ghost materializes directly in front of you. It is the ghost of a woman, dressed in an elaborate bridal dress. The sight of her is quite a shock. The sudden appearance of the ghostly bride threatens to send you into a panic and damage your sanity. That's a decent hand. 2 kings? You see things far worse than this. You're part of the team that broke into the Frankenstein castle after that creature found its would-be bride. The ghostly bride hovers in front of you. You are alarmed to notice that she seems to transform herself across a range of apparitions. At times, she is a vision of calm, innocent beauty, and then her eye sockets seem to empty, and she appears fully skeletal, a harbinger of wrath. You sense some traumatic event has bound her here, and she seems to be longing for the return of something. You decide to use your psychic talents as a medium to find out why the ghostly bride is waiting here. You enter a trance, and soon you are talking with the ghostly bride. She explains that she is waiting here for her betrothed, who is late for their wedding. She wants your help. Finally, 3 experience points. Her name appears to have been Constance, and she is waiting for her betrothed to appear and marry her. You get the feeling that she has been waiting a long time. She wants you to find him, but has no idea where he has been hanging out. She is certain, though, that he is somewhere nearby. Thank God, that took forever. Next, we probably want to add a skill card so we can improve our cups. I'm thinking devices, because I think that improves cups and wands. You notice that the floor in front of you seems to be moving. You step closer thinking that it must be some sort of optical illusion. Suddenly, you step on something and it makes a swishing noise. You look down and see a writhing carpet of insects covering the floor. Scattered around the insects are the bones of their victims. You have never seen so many insects together all at once. Waves seem to undulate across an ocean of insects. The patterns are almost mesmerizing. You get a very bad feeling looking at this. It makes you afraid, and it would with this hand, but we were able to use our 10. You see things far worse than this. After all, you spent 2 weeks at the odd survival school eating bugs and some other things that you would rather not think about. You count dozens of different species and wonder why they would all be gathered here together. The bones indicate a food source of some sort, but you wouldn't expect so many different types. Centipedes, cockroaches, ants, spiders. If you want to keep moving down the corridor, you're going to have to step on or over them. We'll step back the way we came. You decide that crossing this carpet of bugs is not the best idea. This time you bugged out. You back away from the massive colony of bugs, watching your step, so that you crush as few as possible underneath your feet. Guess we are going here after all. You notice a row of sculpted marble busts against the wall. You count 4 until you notice that one has fallen to the floor and subsequently cracked in half. A sudden chill comes over you as you watch in amazement as the faces on the busts begin to move. Lips pucker and cheeks flex as they were warming up for something, and then they begin to sing. You hold your hands to your ears, but the ghostly singing will not cease. Some jingle about grim grinning ghosts flows from their lips, and you just wish the noise would stop. It might drive you crazy. If it doesn't. You start grinning right back at them, and it seems to annoy them greatly. The chorus of talking heads continues unabated, even though it has no further effect on you. The heads seem to be having too good of a time to stop. You are certain that some sorcerous curse has bound spirits to these busts as some form of punishment. Just who is being punished, though, is an open question. You decide to use your expertise as a medium to attract the bust's attention and see if you can find out what their story is. They might have useful information, since they seem to have been sitting here for quite some time. Ah, that's a good hand. 2 kings and a queen? With decent number cards? What the heck, game? What are you doing? Ah, it was... blah. I mean, that could give us another card, but it doesn't matter. I'd have to hope it was a high-level cups card. We'll save our courage. You enter a trance and start singing along with them. It's painful, but by messing up the words and being dreadfully out of tune, you get their attention. Soon they are begging you to stop. That's when you take control of the conversation. Oh. The busts were once members of a family that resided here. The story is muddled and conflicting, but from various heads, you get some information, and you are sure that they are lying about what happened to some extent. And the short of it is that they were cursed by a Black Lodge sorcerer. Oh my god, they didn't save that sentence at all. They are unanimous in their opinion, though, that you can help them. Even though you messed up reading the text here pretty badly. The sorcerer also cursed a statue of a gargoyle. It resides somewhere in the house and contains a coin inside that, when used properly, can break the curse. What is this nonsense? Why is there another 1-2 encounters side by side, 1-2 encounters side by side, 2 encounters side by side, 2 encounters side by side? This is insane. You're confronted with a strange machine that seems to hiss and crackle with otherworldly energy. There is something very odd going on here. You sense that it might be dangerous to get too close. The technology reminds you vaguely of the photographs that you saw when you were taken from the first that I wasn't taken during the first interdimensional war against the Telesrati. This might be a portal generator, and if so, that is bad news. You remember what happened at Tunguska in 1908. You were happy to put some distance between yourself and this strange energy, and you were pretty sure it won't be pursuing you. You should watch out for any Telesrati that might be nearby. That means that there might be Telesrati in this room, and there'll be random brainbot encounters in this room as well. We're gonna double back and go and get the pearl from the gargoyle. Because it's close enough that I feel we can double back for it. We get another Class 1 haunting. Oh, not necessarily any better trying to get her. So let's destroy the ghost again. Or try to. I'm playing a bit risky. And it did not pay off. We did still win. Unfortunately, we had to make the flee check again. Sorry, the evade check. Which I think that would be good enough to do so. Nope. So many wasted turns doing this crap! We have to get looking to spend the night. I effing hate you so much, game, right now. Please, I just want to get in the room. It doesn't matter. Now we lost 3 courage, because I just was like, I want to just end this quickly. That was a big mistake, Tim. You should always play your cards. Always play them. Even if you don't want to. Do it anyway. Alright. Sometimes it's best to fight fire with fire. Actually, no, we'll try beating you up. Attack the gargoyle. It's most likely animated by sorcery, but it has a physical body. You just have to hit it with everything that you have. You won the battle. The gargoyle falls to the floor and shatters into small pieces. We get a beggar's coin. That's going to be lowering our cups by 1. Oh, I'm sorry. Those are wands by 1. It's not gonna matter. We're gonna be forced back. Come on, game. Mr. Davis, thank you for divinely interacting with that one encounter. Right there, it's a nightmare. All that courage, Tim. But what a stupid decision because you were impatient. You decide to approach the singing busts with the cursed coin and free them. You read the inscription on the coin and it magically separates into 5 pieces. You place a fragment into the mouth of each of the busts, careful not to forget the cracked one on the floor. After the last head swallows its fragment, you see glowing spirits rise from each head and then evaporate. It seems they have left you a reward. Death. If this card is in your inventory and you would be killed because your health points were reduced to 0, supposedly it does not protect you against instant death, during any challenge, then this card is removed instead, and your health is restored to 5. That's not so bad. 1 experience point for that. And an Arcana card, the first Arcana card that we've gotten. So, I'm gonna leave this room not fully explored. Hello, grand dining room. I think these are probably connected, so let's go in here and around the room. Occasionally, I think we'll get the ghost dinner party here. Maybe a picture of the Red Hand. There's an encounter actually here, so we'll go this way. It seemed impossible at first, but slowly you recognize the sounds of clinking glasses and the soft murmur of conversation. A long dining table stands in front of you, surrounded on all ends by dusty chairs. As you come nearer, you think you detect some movement around the table, and the hairs on your arms begin to stand on end. It's suddenly very cold. A ghostly face peers out from behind one of the chairs, and in a heartbeat, you see the apparition seated all around the table. The scene twists at the threads of your sanity. You struggle to comprehend this brush with the supernatural. You have rarely seen this many ghosts congregated together before. Yeah, my saving the face cards in hope of actually using them is not proving out, is proving to be the giant mistake I have always suspected it would be. You hardly feel at ease, but your willpower is rock steady. Should we read this first? You're confronted with a very unusual scene. You stand before a dinner party of ghosts, who for the most part seem completely oblivious to your presence. Occasionally, you see a ghost looking around as if trying to find a servant. However, most seem fully preoccupied with ghostly gossip and dinner chatter. You decide to use your powers as a medium to tap your ectoplasmic knife against the glass and grab their attention. Maybe a direct approach will let you start a conversation, so that you can gather some information. Of course, there is always some risks involved with this approach. Rows of ghostly heads turn towards you and gaze expectantly. You offer a pithy toast, and they seem pleased. Before you know it, they are gabbing away. The general consensus is that the lack of a proper dessert is spoiling the festivities. You hear raucous cries for dessert, and many of the ghostly guests are looking expectantly towards you. Would you be so good as to find the butler and order our dessert? We haven't the appetite for it at the moment. This led to our first clue, and I think this is probably a good stopping point, because we probably played close to an hour. You've come to the Amity Estate unannounced and expecting trouble. All challenges that involve cups as a primary suit receive a +1 modifier to the number of cards drawn to the player's hand while this icon is active. In other words, traps and fleeing challenges will be a little easier for us. Alright, so let's summarize what's happened. So even though we lost 3 courage, we did still pick up 1 overall courage, so we're slightly better in that regard in funding Thoughts Acquire Speed. We have only gotten 4 experience points in this place so far. That is pretty pitiful, and if that continues for every single story token that we draw, we are definitely going to lose badly. We have explored a good amount of the first floor. I would guess roughly half, or just under it, actually, as well. And that is really it, isn't it? We've also gained a Arcana card very early on, which is nice. This way, if we're beaten up, we won't quite die. So, and if we meet an encounter that we absolutely must win, we can use that card to do so. In any case, I think we'll stop here. So, it's not looking good for us at the moment. We're struggling, and we have yet to have any of these special quest encounters occur. It's going to be really dangerous when that finally happens, so I'm looking forward to it. See you guys all in the next one. Take care, everyone.